Welcome back. Hope you had a good break.
Yeah, very good, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Now let's pick it up. Not Premier League, but football. FIFA wants to have the World Cup every 2 years. They're conducting a
Mhm.
feasibility study. How do you see that?
Yeah, I've heard quite a bit about this today from Arsene Wenger. I've looked at it and yeah, I'm not sure. To be honest, I'd like to look into it a little bit deeper. But there seems to be fixture congestion all over the place where we're trying to fit in fixtures all the time. I think Arsene Wenger says this will give the players 25 days rest every season. I'm not so sure if this has been driven by um, a will to want to look after the players more, or by making more money. Look, at the end of the day, it's usually down to money. It's usually down to finances. I've got. I believe the World Cup works every 4 years. I think that it's such a special occasion that I think to try and have it every 2 years might dilute that and just make it. You can get too much of a good thing, and I do think that trying to have it every 2 years will take away from the prestige and the honour of players going every 4 years. And I think 4 years is about right. So my initial feeling was, I'm not sure that could work. It's not something that I feel will be of benefit to the game as a whole. I think at the end of the day, I think it might make it much more difficult, especially for the top players, for having to build up to a World Cup every 2 years. It is massively. It takes a lot of energy, not out of the players, but everybody as well when you go to a World Cup. So my initial thought is I would stick with what we got, in all honesty. But I do like I do like modern thinking. I do like people to think outside the box. And this has raised a debate as how we could do things better. I think what this will do, and that's what Arsene Wenger is very good at. It's good at raising awareness of a problem and putting something forward, which might seem a little bit outlandish, but starts a discussion. So I hope that's where he's coming from. I think he's wanting to start this discussion about the amount of football we play, what will be feasible. I still think it'll be every 4 years, but maybe other things could be tweaked to make the schedule more accessible, not only to players but for everybody, fans as well.
True. And Gianni Infantino has already changed a lot since he came into power.
Mhm.
The World Cup will be 48 teams from 2026 in the
Mhm.
USA, Canada, and Mexico. So
Mhm.
he's a man of change. Okay, now there's a strange situation in South Africa where a team has two co-managers, two head coaches. They are both sort of in charge. And
Mhm.
yeah, there's a third senior coach as well, somewhere there in the mix. He's a former head coach as well. So tell me, from a management point of view, how how does that situation work? Because we're just used to having one coach with all the
Mhm.
power. You know,
Yeah.
is that even something that should be done in the world of football?
Look, from my experience, you always need someone who can make that final decision. Yeah, at the end of the day, and the buck stops with them. Off the top of my head, there was the one situation I can remember it happening in this country was at Charlton, where Alan Curbishley was joint managers with Steve Gritt a long time ago, where Alan Curbishley started his career. Now they had a very close relationship, but eventually, I think after maybe not even a year or so, Alan became the main man because it just wasn't working. Because what you get is no decisions at all. You don't get anybody and no one taking responsibility. And in any business, not just football, the buck has to stop with someone, and someone has to make that final decision. It depends on their relationship as well. Obviously, if they get on well and they feel that works, look, that's fine with me. But from my experience, you need someone who's going to be where the buck stops and is going to make that final decision on players, because you're dealing with players' lives. And if you what you're always doing is debate, you haven't got time to debate things all the time. You need a manager who's going to take things on board, who's going to take people's opinions and then make that decision. And that is real clear leadership. And when you have clear leadership, I think you get success. So I think I'm not going to say, look, it won't work. I think it'll be very difficult. If it works for them, good luck to them. But it's, in my experience, you always need one man who's going to make that final decision, and that's what I would always stick to.
Not as much. Let's move on now. Premier League football. Crystal Palace, Tottenham. We'll start with Nuno. Are you surprised about how well he's done at Spurs so far?
I'm looking at those Tottenham performances, and to be honest, I'm surprised that they've managed to win all three of their games. 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. I thought they were totally outplayed by Man City. I thought that Wolves totally outplayed them for the last part of the game, and I thought in the first half against Watford were the better side. But they've shown real resilience, and so that's very pleasing for Nuno. It gives him something to work with. And Spurs fans, obviously they should be pleased, but if they look at the performances over the 90 minutes, they know there needs to be a lot more if they're to sustain, that position at the top of the Premier League. So they should be pleased with the results because it's a results business. But I think the performances need to be better. I think they need to be more forward thinking. They've been able to play on the counter attack in a lot of those games, which suits them. This weekend they're without Son, but Harry Kane comes back, and I'm sure Harry Kane, after everything with Man City and the transfer saga, will want to be looking to go into play into a side which is progressive. If they've got any chance of keeping Harry Kane, they need to be more progressive. Tanganga's done brilliant, but with the ball, he's not great, and I think he would admit that as well. Defensively, fantastic, brilliant when he's in that slot. Eric Dyer at centre half, he's great when they can sit back and defend deep, but you worry about him playing high up the pitch. And you look at the sides that are successful, if they got players who can run and that are quick, and I don't think Eric Dyer fits that. So, look, Tottenham fans will be pleased with their start in terms of points. I'm not sure that they should be pleased in terms of their performances. I think their performances can get better, and they need to get better if they're to continue to pick up wins.
Against Norwich, how do you see that one going?
Norwich, or you're talking about Palace? Tottenham?
Apologies, yes, Palace, yeah.
Palace. I'm looking forward to seeing Odsonne Edouard who starts. I think will start for Palace this week. There's another lad, Elise, who they signed from Reading. I like the way that Palace are trying to go about things, signing young players and players who've got something to prove. And it's going to be a big transition after Roy Hodgson's tenure there. So I think Patrick Vieira's got a difficult job, but I like this sort of players. I like Conor Gallagher. I think he's a good player. I like their other signings as well, Anderson at centre half. This could be a game. They got a massive point against West Ham, where Conor Gallagher scored a couple of goals last week. This could be a more difficult game for Tottenham than people envisage because their results have been great. As I said, their performances haven't been too good. I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going for Palace to get something from this game. I think it'll go 1-1.
Staying in North London, Arsenal will be facing Norwich. Do you think this could be Arteta's last game if he doesn't win?
It could. Of course, it could. They lose to Norwich. You think where can he go from there? I know people are saying it's a relegation battle. If it's a relegation battle for Norwich, well, Arsenal are below them, so it must be a relegation battle for Arsenal. And if they don't win it, then he's in massive trouble. It's fact. It's just in massive trouble. And everybody is expecting them to win, including myself. I heard lots of people saying, well, should be easier than Brentford because Brentford were physical and Arsenal, But I'm worried about Arsenal without the ball. And Norwich are good with the ball. They like to play as well, and they like to open teams up. And if they don't deal with that, they could have a few problems because I don't put it past Norwich nicking a goal. And if they nick that first goal, the pressure on Arteta and the rest of the team is going to be immense. This is a massive game for Arteta. It's pivotal, I think, in his managerial career. So I expect Arsenal to win. I know they've got players coming back. Gabriel's back, Partey's back. I think Ben White is back. So you're looking at the spine of that team looking a lot more solid. And the players need to play for Arteta. He said there's no more excuses. And so this is a massive 95 minutes for Mikel Arteta and his career at Arsenal. So they have to win. I'm not even sure if they only took a point from this, I still think Arteta would be under massive pressure. So it is a must-win game. Fourth game of the season, we're talking about a must-win game at Arsenal. In all honesty, if you said to me that Arsenal only had 3 points at the start of the season, that would be, that's what I would have expected. Because I didn't expect them to win, those two games. I didn't expect them to beat Man City. But their performances have been so poor, and that's what the fans are really up. They've been so poor, and and Norwich will be saying that. They'll be analysing, saying their performances have been worse than ours. We can win this. The Norwich players will go and saying we can beat them. We make sure that we nullify them. The first 10, 15 minutes, their confidence will go zoom, just like that, and we can play. Massive game for Arteta. If they lose it, I'm not sure I can see a way back for him.
Like he's the common denominator here with unsettled players, unsettled senior players. Looking at time with Ozil as well, could he be the problem? Maybe Arteta.
It could be the problem. It could be the problem because what you're seeing is he's not getting the best out of his senior players. He's finding youngsters, and dealing with youngsters is a totally different thing to dealing with senior players. It's not the same thing. You have to know where players come from to get the best out of them. Aubameyang, Ozil, it's obviously Ozil. He seemed to alienate them straight off the bat. He's almost do it my way or don't do it at all. That works with young players, but with senior players who are a massive part in terms of getting you results, you have to be, I think, a little bit more subtle. I'm not sure Mikel Arteta is subtle in the way he handles his big players. So I think it's if you don't agree with me, you're out the door. And he's needed them. He's needed them sometime, and they haven't turned up. The young players have done brilliant for him, but young players will just look up, and they're like puppies, aren't they? They look up, they want to lap it all in, they want to do well. That's easy. They always go and do their best. So that's something he's learning on the job. And that maybe he's inexperienced, and you want to think that he should be given the opportunity to learn that side of management, but he's not. But he's running out of time. He's running out of time. And I thought last season would be the time for him to learn the trade very, very quickly. But this season is the time to start getting results. So and the senior players are key to him winning games. If they don't turn up, they will dictate his future, and so they've got to be on his side.
I guess that's where the real management comes in. Moving to Leicester and Man City. Brendan Rodgers has really done well with Leicester City, and Man City will be, I think, without their Brazilian players. How do you see this one panning out?
I'm not sure. I think from what I hear, I think the Brazilian players might be playing. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but I think the Brazilian players might be playing. I think Edison will be available. Jesus will be available. But we'll see in the morning. Even without those Brazilian players, I know people talking about Scott Carson maybe playing. Look, Man City are still the favourites, even though Leicester beat him in the Community Shield. But we all know how this game is going to pan out because Man City will dictate the tactics in the game. They'll have possession, they'll play high up the pitch, and that will mean that Leicester can play on the counter-attack, which they're more than happy to do, with Vardy leading the line, Barnes on the left, Albright and most probably on the right, and then Tielemans and Maddison trying to pull the strings in midfield. So this is a really interesting game, and I just feel that Leicester, to get a result, need to defend a lot better than they have in the first three games. And Son Shu has been poor. Amati's been the better player. He's been the more consistent. There's a rumour that Johnny Evans is close to fitness. I think that's key. I think if Johnny Evans is available, he just gives that team a massive boost and brings calm to the back line. So I'd like to look at the team sheets before this one. But I think if you go against Man City, then you're asking for trouble. I do fancy them strongly. I think that the international players have had a good week as well. They seem to be in form. Torres and Jesus were terrific, and they're building confidence as young players. Everybody had forgotten about them, written them off because Kane was going there. Well, these are good young players. They've been signed at Man City because they've got fantastic potential. And Pep has a habit of realising those young players' potential a lot quicker than other players. So I fancy City to get a result, but I also fancy Leicester to score. So I'm going to go 3-1 for Man City.
Okay, on the other half of Manchester now, Man United play Newcastle. Ronaldo.
I didn't realise. Have they got a game at Old Trafford or something? What is it? Is there a game with Man United fans who haven't been
Ro-
I mentioned it. I don't know. It's got over my head.
Ronaldo. Does he start?
Ronaldo. It's interesting because Ollie said he will play some part in the game. Now I don't know if he's trying to kid Newcastle. To be fair, I don't think he needs to kid Newcastle. I think if Ronaldo's playing, then he'll say he starts. I wonder if that's for the other players, to make sure that they're prepared, the rest of the squad. Because I'm not sure that Ronaldo would want to make his debut sat on the bench for Man United. I cannot see that. I can't see. I can't see him any other way but him starting that game. So yes, I think he does start. I think Greenwood most probably plays on the right. I think it's interesting how the rest of the team play. I really do. How they play behind him. There's been rumours that Ronaldo has had a chat with Ollie. I'm sure he has about how the team's going to play. He wouldn't have gone there without having that conversation. I think Bruno will play behind him. But I think Pogba's got to play left of three. I think Man United have got to play 4-3-3, and I think Pogba has got to play on that left of three in midfield. And then I think it'd be Greenwood, Ronaldo, and maybe Jadon Sancho, and apparently he's fit as well. I think he's got to, he's paid big money for those players, and I think they've got to start nailing down. That is, on paper, that is a formidable team. But we know that Ollie has got to get the blend right, and he's got to get the blend right straight away with Ronaldo. So I think Sancho has got to start. He's at home as well. Obviously, James has gone. Rashford is injured. And he's got to dispense with two holding midfield players. That can't happen anymore. And then let them fly. Let them fly against Newcastle, which will give them the confidence. It's a great game for Ronaldo against Newcastle. Got a great record. Scored a hat trick against them in 2007-8 season. And Newcastle will be very, very nervous. They'll play deep. They'll play with a back five. And you know what? And Ronaldo is now a box centre forward. That will suit him down to the ground to find those little pockets, those little spaces. So I think he starts. I think Man United win. I think Ronaldo scores. But I don't think it'll be. People have been saying it'll be 6. It'll be that'll be a dream come true for Man United supporters. But I think it'll be a dream come true to see Ronaldo, to see him score. If you see United get the 3 points, I think there'll be most probably 3-0.
Staying with United, you're saying Ole should play with one defensive midfielder. Who do you see that in? That is it Fred? Is it McTominay? Is it Van der Beek? Maybe who do you see in that role?
It's none of them. It's Declan Rice. In all honesty, I don't think none of those are the midfield players that you need to do that one holding, because it's not only without the ball, but I think with the ball as well to dictate the play. I just look at the other sides, and I look at Jorginho, what he does for Chelsea. I look at Fabinho, what he does for Liverpool. I even look at Leicester. Look at what Ndidi does for Leicester, and Tielemans. Ndidi gives it to Tielemans, and you just need that defined someone who is, I don't think outstanding with the ball, but just doesn't give the ball away. I just find that Fred. I think he's got great energy, great enthusiasm. I think he's a good player. I just feel when he's with the ball, he tries to do too much, and we want a player there when he gets in possession of the ball. He's the one who's calming things down and dictating the tempo. And he doesn't have to be a great passer. It's like Jorginho, he doesn't extravagant passes, but they get the team moving. He dictates where the team goes, and that's really important. Can Fred pick that up? I hope so, for his sake, because I like him. I just think I like him. I want him to be successful. But I'm wondering if that's the missing piece in the jigsaw puzzle. And there are people talking about McTominay, but I think McTominay is a young player who is a terrific athlete as well. And I see him on the right side of 3. I think if you had Pogba on the left, McTominay on the right, and then that holding midfield player, I think that'd be a perfect balance in there. So yeah, at the moment it will be Fred. It's Ollie seems to absolutely love him. I think he gets on with him and likes him as a character as well. And then I think the other players have got to demand that he gives them the ball and gives it to them simple. Don't try and do too much. If he just sits in there, gets it, gives it simple, that will certainly help United. But I do think there's better players out there who might be able to do a better job and add to the team. And again, I just look at the teams that are successful. Man City, Fernandinho has been doing it, and then you've got Rodri. They got two in there who get it and give it, and then they can find that simple, but they can play through people as well. I'm not sure Fred could do that. So that I think that's a concern for Man United. And it doesn't matter what you've got in front of you if you can't deliver decent service, especially as soon as you win that ball and find the correct pass. When you win possession, you will have problems because teams will get back into shape. It'll be more difficult, or teams will win the ball back, which they do on occasions with Fred. So I think it's a tough one, but I think Ollie needs to nail down the shape and then try and get the best players into that situation. I think the only position that is a real concern is that central midfield player holding position. I think there needs to be one. Matic would do it if he was at his prime, but I just think he's past his best. I think he's past his best, and that's a real shame. You just look at him and you think, oh, maybe it's a year too much. I think that's the one concern for Man United fans, to get that midfield player in.
Staying with United. Last one.
Yeah.
Set pieces. Where does it get decided? Penalties are coming, free kicks are coming. Ronaldo's back in town. Bruno is also there. What do we do now?
Listen, Ronaldo plays for Portugal, just like Bruno plays for Portugal. Who takes the penalties for Portugal? Ronaldo. He's not going to let Bruno take penalties. It's just not going to happen. He might let him. I can't see him let him take. He lets him take the first one, and Bruno scores. He never gets on him. So I cannot see Ronaldo letting him take penalties. When he's on the pitch, he will take penalties and he will take free kicks. It's iconic, And even though, if you actually analyse how many free kicks Ronaldo scores, they usually go all over the place. But when he's lining up with his legs astride that ball and he's lined up to take a free kick, it's iconic. And that's what the fans want to see. And it's a real shame for Bruno because he's been the main man. And that's the one concern, I think, for Man United fans, how those other top players react to Ronaldo. Do they go into their shell? I don't think they're going into their shell. The likes of Bruno and Pogba, because there's a real superstar, where they thought they were superstars. How did they handle that? But this is a real superstar. How do they cope with that? Without that responsibility, do they take it on the chin and do they say, yeah, we've got to put our mark on the game in a different way? Because Bruno's been terrific. He's lifted Man United up. There's no doubt since he's gone there, he's lifted their standards. It's an interesting dilemma. And the reason, Man United fans will go to me, why are you not sure? Because you know what, you can have too much of a good thing. I look at all too many characters. I look at the Man City squad and I think loads of superstars, but they know they've got a manager who keeps them in check. Klopp at Liverpool, loads of superstars, but I've got a manager who keeps them in check. Same at Chelsea, Thomas Tuchel. They've got a manager who keeps them in check. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, is he that manager who can keep Pogba, Bruno, Ronaldo, Sancho? Can he give them direction? Can he tell them what they need to do? Not so sure. But hey, it'll be exciting trying to find out. That's for sure.
Okay, moving right along. Chelsea, Aston Villa. Do you think Villa are weaker now without Grealish?
There's no doubt they're weaker without Grealish. The two Argentinian players will be missing. Buendia and Martinez will be missing this weekend. There's no doubt they're weaker, but I do think they've coped with it as well as they could have. Buendia, Ings, Ashley Young, a good experience. Swanshabi from Man United, really have supplemented the squad really well. But it's a different, and they need to build that strength back up with those players, with that depth. Whereas Grealish gave them, because when he played, they believed that they give him the ball, he can make something happen. They haven't got that, but they've got a better squad of players, and I think now they need to build a team ethic which gives them that belief that they had when Grealish was there, where it was he's the main man, and if he played, they got a result. But Villa have done terrific, fantastic since they just avoided relegation a couple of seasons ago. I thought last season they were outstanding. Any other season they'd be Dean Smith will be up there with managers of the year with the performances they put in. But I think this is a tough one for them. I was really impressed with Chelsea this season. I've been really impressed with Lukaku. He does look a totally different player to when he donned the Man United shirt. And you know what people say? No, they shouldn't have let him go. Of course they should have let him go because he wasn't playing like this. He wasn't this player. But he's cut. And I was more impressed with his performance against Liverpool. I thought it was outstanding. It's not just about scoring goals. I know he'll score goals. I want to know if he'll do all the other stuff, which these teammates really appreciated. I think Lukaku, people could ask me who scored more goals, Lukaku or Ronaldo. I think it's a very good question. And I think for people I'll be asking that question, people think maybe Lukaku might score more goals than Ronaldo. So I fancy Chelsea strongly in this game. I think they're going to be a very difficult team to beat. Their squad is so strong. I was just mentioning the players that haven't even kicked the ball. Hudson-Odoi, Timo Werner, Ziyech hasn't really kicked the ball. Thiago Silva came on as sub. They sold Kurt Zouma to West Ham for £25 million. He was in their first team last year. Loftus-Cheek is nowhere near it. It's just ridiculous, the players that they've got. Kante's hardly played a game. It's been Jorginho and Kovacic. Kante's just been a bit part player, and then he'll come good. This is a terrific squad, and a manager who does know what he's doing. So I fancy Chelsea to win this game.
Moving right along, that was Chelsea. We don't like them. Sunday, Leeds, Liverpool, Bielsa, Klopp. This should be a good game.
This should be a good game. It's always a good game. Leeds, we know how Leeds play, but they've been a little bit more, since the Man United game, the midfield was absolutely and totally missing in that game. And they've had a few problems in there. I think Clicker's gone in there. And it's been wide open for them, but I just think Liverpool will be too strong. I honestly do. The way Leeds play, I think it will suit Liverpool down to the ground. And Leeds, we know Leeds will try and go out, and they know they'll try and go man to man. You got Salah, Mane, and I think Jota will be one who plays. I can't see Leeds getting the result. It'll be an exciting game, but I can't see Leeds getting the result. Van Dijk's getting better by the game. Matip is terrific. I think Fabinho will play. I know there's a doubt about Brazilian players, but I think Fabinho will play. He's been well rested. Alisson is top-class, world-class goalkeeper. I think there's a little bit of a doubt about Robertson at left back because he's played a lot of games since his ankle injury. But Tsimikas came in and did an excellent job in the first couple of games of the season. So that's not a concern. So I fancy Liverpool to get the result. There'll be goals, I think, but 3-1, I'll go Liverpool.
Do you think this season's league race will be tighter than previous races where you see Man City just running away with it? Looking at the quality of players in each squad and the quality of the coaches of those teams.
I do. I think this would be the most difficult one to call. Start of the season, everybody said, let's wait until the transfer window's open, and now the transfer window's shut. Now it's shut. Everybody's still not sure. Chelsea's getting Lukaku in, Man City getting Grealish in, Man United getting Ronaldo in. We have in this Premier League the best players and the best managers, I think, in the world. But then in amongst that, you've got teams like West Ham, Leicester, Tottenham doing really well, and Everton. There's no gimmies, They will all affect the final standings at the end of the season. You just feel outside the top four. Well, there are no easy games. I know we said that a lot about the Premier League, but Everton, West Ham, Leicester, and Tottenham are, at this moment of time, are teams who have a valid case for trying to finish in the top four because of the way they play. And if they get lucky with injuries, because they haven't got the depth of squad that the other sides have had. And to be honest, Leicester should have finished in the top four the last two seasons. They deserved to. So I see them as definitely a top 6 team. So that they will have a big say on the league standings at the end of the season, and that's why it's going to be ever so tight. But I do think the top 4 will finish at the top 4. And even though Man United signed Ronaldo, and the Man United fans, they've got a lot to do to get above Chelsea and get above Man City. So and that's good for Man United, I think. Even though they signed Ronaldo, they're also overnight become favourites, because we know how good City are over a season. We know their squad, how they rotate the squad. We know how good Liverpool are, even though they had a shocking season, still finishing the top four last year with injuries to everybody, it seemed like. We know how good Chelsea are. They've won the Champions League. There's a lot for Man United to do. But the good thing is that a lot of people feel that they could do it. And I certainly won't argue against that. I just feel that if you are being honest with yourself and myself as a pundit, I can't see anybody finish above Man City, Chelsea or Liverpool at this moment in time with the squads that they've got. Man United have just got their squads together. Those teams have had the nucleus of their squads together, and they've added one player. You know, Liverpool have added Konate, Man City have added Grealish, and Chelsea have added Lukaku to already magnificent squads. You know, Man United have got Varane in, Sancho, Ronaldo. They've got to hit the ground running. You know, for United is there to win the league. These sides are embedded in how they do things, and they've just added real quality in one player. And you know what, Konate for Liverpool might not even play a game this season. You know, so that is the challenge, but it's a fantastic challenge. The Premier League is going to be amazing every single week, and it's one to look forward to. So it's going to go right down to the wire this season.
As we wrap up, quick predictions: Everton, Burnley.
2-0 Everton.
Watford,
Calvert Lewin always scores against Burnley.
Watford, Wolves.
Watford, Wolves. You know, Wolves have played well without scoring. You know, I'm going to go 1-0 Wolves. Get a result.
Southampton, West Ham.
West Ham 3-1.
Brentford and Brighton.
0-0.
Okay, that's it for today. Thank you, Leroy.
Nice
See you next week.
No worries. Take care, mate. See you later.